February is Heart Health Month, and we're excited to share ways for you to help lower your cholesterol and reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke. In this video, we will discuss different types of fat, how they affect your health, and how to identify them at the grocery store or in your kitchen. Fat is an important part of a balanced diet and necessary for many important bodily functions. It helps the body absorb certain vitamins, build cell membranes and protective barriers around nerves. It protects our body from trauma by adding a cushion around organs. It is important in the production of hormones, and it helps keep us warm. When we eat it, it helps slow down digestion to stabilize blood sugar and makes us feel full longer. Cholesterol is a waxy substance that comes from two different sources. It is produced by the liver, and it also comes from the foods we eat. For the most part, the cholesterol we eat does not affect our blood cholesterol levels. When you eat more foods with cholesterol, your body makes less. And if you eat foods lower in dietary cholesterol, your body makes more. However, this is not true for all people, and it's best to check in with your doctor to find out if you need to be concerned about your dietary cholesterol intake. Cholesterol gets carried through our blood by two different kinds of lipoproteins, LDL and HDL. LDL, or low-density lipoproteins, or as I like to remember it, lousy cholesterol, is deposited on the walls of arteries. This can lead to coronary artery disease, strokes, high blood pressure, and other complications. HDL, or high-density lipoproteins, is sometimes called good cholesterol. It acts as a garbage truck, cleaning cholesterol from the blood and transporting it back to the liver for disposal. High levels of HDL can also lower your risk of heart disease and stroke. It's helpful to know your numbers. On this slide, we list the target ranges for your total LDL and HDL cholesterol. You will see we broke it down into two sections. The one on the left are the limits for the general population, and the right column is for those individuals with a history of coronary artery disease. You'll notice that those numbers are lower. So how do we manage our cholesterol from the foods we eat? Let's start by talking about the different types of fat. There is saturated fat, trans fat, and unsaturated fat. Saturated are responsible for raising your LDL or lousy cholesterol. You can easily identify saturated fat because they are solid at room temperature. Trans fats can be naturally occurring or artificial. Milk and other animal sources contain small amounts of natural trans fats. Artificial trans fats were created using an industrial process that adds hydrogen gas to vegetable oils, otherwise known as partially hydrogenated oil, and it gives them a longer shelf life and makes them more solid. In 2015, the FDA banned the use of partially hydrogenated oils. Unsaturated fats are easy to identify because they are liquid at room temperature. We prefer to eat more unsaturated fats because they help lower the lousy LDL cholesterol. These types of fats come from plants such as vegetable oils, nuts, and seeds. You might have heard of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. These are types of unsaturated fats. Polyunsaturated fats include both omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids can help lower your LDL lousy cholesterol and may improve your HDL or good cholesterol. On average, fat should make up about 20 to 35% of our total calories we eat in a day. This is a general guideline, and depending on your personal health concerns or issues, may need to be adjusted. Talk to your dietitian to learn more about this. When it comes to saturated fat, we want it to be less than 10% of our total calories. The American Heart Association recommends eating even less saturated fat, about 5 to 6% of your total calories. Let's turn these percentages into something that's easier to understand. If we need about 2,000 calories per day, that means 400 to 700 calories should come from fat, and about 100 to 200 calories should come from saturated fat. When we're at the grocery store, how do we know how much and what types of fat are in a product we want to buy? Let's practice reading the nutrition label on this slide. There are many sections to a nutrition label, but today we want to focus on two areas, the serving size and the fat section. First, we want to look at the serving size. How much is the nutrition label talking about compared to how much we plan to eat? Will you eat this amount, more, or less? The serving size is not telling you how much to eat. It's just a measurement used to list nutrition information. Next, we move down to the fat section to find total fat, saturated fat, and trans fat amount listed. On this label, we see on the slide a serving size is 1 bar. The total fat amount in this serving is 9 grams. Of those 9 grams, 2 grams are saturated fat. We can also see here that there are 0 grams of trans fats. How do we convert grams to calories? The rule of thumb is 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So the example here, if we're following a 2,000 calorie per day diet, this bar provides about 4% of our fat intake and 1% of our saturated fat intake. Here are some examples of saturated fat, which we can identify because they are solid at room temperature. This includes butter, coconut, palm oil, ice cream, beef fat or tallow, poultry, especially with the skin on, pork, lamb, and beef. In the U.S., some of the biggest sources of saturated fat that we eat or that are found in our diet are found in pizza, cheese, whole and reduced fat milk, butter, and dairy desserts. Meat products like sausage, bacon, beef, hamburgers, cookies, or fast food. Here are some examples of unsaturated fat. We've broken it down into mono and polyunsaturated fats. Our monounsaturated include avocados, nuts and nut butter, pumpkin and sesame seeds and their oils, and oils such as olive, canola, and peanut oil. Remember, monounsaturated can help lower our LDL lousy cholesterol. Polyunsaturated fats can be found in fish, walnuts, flaxseed, and oils like sunflower, corn, soybean, flax, and canola oil. Remember, polyunsaturated can help lower our LDL lousy cholesterol, and it may increase our good HDL cholesterol. Using unsaturated fats instead of saturated fats can help lower the risk of heart disease, stroke, and high blood pressure. We've talked about the importance of choosing unsaturated fats instead of saturated fats. So let's take a look at different cooking oils and rank them from most saturated to unsaturated. Here we have coconut oil is going to be the most saturated on the list, followed by ghee, butter, palm oil, lard, Crisco, margarine spread like Smart Balance, vegetable oil, avocado, olive oil, and canola oil. Now that we've talked about the best cooking oils to reduce the saturated fats we eat, let's learn how we can do that by still enjoying the foods we love. Here are a few ground meat options. The one on the left is 80-20. This means it has a fat content of 20%, with a total fat of 22 grams, and 8 grams of that is saturated. The next is 90-10, so that means it has a 10% fat content. We can see here that 4.5 grams of the fat is saturated per serving. We've also listed the ground white meat turkey, which has 3.5 grams of total fat and 1 gram of saturated fat. We also wanted to list some plant-based meat substitutes. You might think that plant-based will always be lower in fat or saturated fat, and this is not always the case. Let's compare the 90-10 ground beef to our Beyond Meat. You will notice that the Beyond Burger has more saturated fat than the 90-10 beef. So it's always a good idea to read your nutrition label. When we're eating plant-based meat substitutes, we also want to pay attention to the added sodium because it can often be high. And added sodium can increase our blood pressure, and we want to avoid that. Here are a few other swaps we can do every day to help lower the amount of saturated fat we eat. Instead of cooking with butter or coconut oil, we can try canola or olive oil, a unsaturated fat. Instead of having fried chicken, we can cook our chicken breasts in an oven or an air fryer. Choosing fish instead of beef will help lower our saturated fat intake and will also help increase our polyunsaturated fats because fish is a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Instead of trying pork sausage, you can substitute chicken sausage. Greek yogurt is a fantastic substitution for sour cream and will have less saturated fat. Instead of cream cheese, you can try peanut butter. Hummus is a good substitute for ranch dressing. Instead of a turkey sandwich with cheddar cheese, try a turkey sandwich with avocados. Avocados are a great source of unsaturated fat, and they are packed with fiber. Next time you order a coffee drink, instead of using whole milk, we can try skim milk. And instead of ice cream, try frozen yogurt. Next time you're at the store, compare the nutrition labels for ice cream to frozen yogurt and see the difference in the saturated fat. So let's review. Our lousy LDL cholesterol in our blood is deposited on walls of arteries. This can lead to negative cardiovascular outcomes. Our HDL, or good cholesterol, is our garbage truck, and it moves around our blood and removes the LDL cholesterol from the blood. Eating too much saturated fat will increase our bad LDL cholesterol and decrease our good HDL cholesterol. We can also remember that saturated fats are easy to identify because they are solid at room temperature. That means if you leave them out on your kitchen counter, they will remain solid. Choosing unsaturated fats will help lower our lousy LDL cholesterol and may even improve our HDL or good cholesterol. Congratulations! You are now a fat expert. What are some goals that you have after watching this video to reduce your saturated fat intake? Perhaps instead of butter, you might try canola or olive oil when cooking. Or next time you have a dish with sausage, you might choose a chicken sausage or a turkey sausage instead of pork. Instead of sour cream, will you try Greek yogurt? Another goal could be instead of 80-20 ground beef, you'll try ground white meat turkey. If you have any questions, please attend our question and answer session on Wednesday, February 15th, starting at 3 p.m. You can also reach out to your dietitian using the list on the slide below. Thank you for taking the time to watch our nutrition video, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.